Hi, my name is Hazel. I am a stripper hoe and I dance in Portland, Oregon. I am making my very first YouTube video because I've been asked quite a few times for information on auditions. I've auditioned at 3 different clubs. I've been dancing for around 4 months now, full time, as my only job. And of the 3 clubs I auditioned at, I haven't been turned down from one. So I have a pretty good 3 for 3. I'm pretty privileged. I'm able-bodied and I'm cute, so that helps me. So basically, I have a list here of some advice that I learned along the way through my auditions, getting hired in clubs. But mainly I'm just going to tell you the stories of the 3 different clubs and then just information throughout. Right, so the first club that I auditioned at was a classic Las Vegas style club. So by Las Vegas style club, I mean multiple stages, spinning poles, and they tend to hire a thinner girl with a dramatic makeup look. And so I guess number 1 for advice is call the club and find out when they're auditioning. So this club in particular, the first club that I auditioned at, from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. weekdays were their auditions. So I went in on like a Tuesday. This club in particular hired me on site. I did not have to dance. I didn't even have to get a body check. I went in my regular street clothes. I was in a crop top and like high-waisted mom jeans, and my makeup was done, but I just walked in, said I was here for an audition. They asked if I had ever danced before. I said no, but I can, and we'll get into that later. They asked if I wanted to start that night. I considered it. I went up to the locker room. I met a couple of girls. I even like changed into my outfit, but I wasn't planning on working that night. I mean, in all honesty, I was planning on being rejected just because this was my first time ever even in the strip club, which leads me to my number 2. Go to the strip club. Find clubs that you like, where the vibe fits you, that you would like to work at. My first experience ever in the club, I just stepped foot into the club, this first one, and I was hired on site, but I had no idea what my options were, that different clubs have different setups, different rules, things like that. In particular, this was a full touch club, full contact, and because this was my first club and I had never danced, never sold a dance, never anything like that, that scared me a little. Yeah, so after that audition, I went home that night, but I did get the job. I told them I would be back the next day to work, and I just started getting this like pit of anxiety in my stomach. I started thinking, oh my god, I went into the club, now I'm scared, maybe dancing isn't for me. I put it off for a few weeks, and I don't know. I ended up auditioning at a different club. This club is more of a blue-collar club, where by blue collar, I mean the patrons that come in are working class. So we get like the regular doctors, lawyers, business guys, but we also get like construction workers on lunch. We get contractors, stuff like that. It isn't as like exclusive. Whereas the first club, there's a dress code to like come into the club. I believe like patrons had to be wearing, like male patrons had to be wearing dress pants, like no jeans. The second club I auditioned at, you can be wearing jeans. I think you just can't be wearing sweatpants, and that's for the girls so that they're not like just rubbing right on your junk during the dance. This second club is a full touch club as well. But when I went into this club for my audition, I immediately liked the layout better. If I had toured these clubs before as a patron before auditioning, I would have never even auditioned at the first club because I like the second club's layout so much more. At this club, at the first club, there was, I think, who was that guy? What even was his job? I don't know. He was just like, he wasn't a bartender or like a manager. He was just like a guy who operates the dance rooms. Like, this club was so big, the Las Vegas style club, that there's an employee who runs the dance rooms who also handles the auditions during the day, or the 7 to 10 time. At this second club, they have an actual hiring manager, dancer manager, and he's in charge of setting up the schedule and doing that for all of the girls. So I auditioned for him. This club has 3 stages, spinning poles, so it's quite large as well. I was put on the second further backstage in the club for a 2-song set. This was my first time actually dancing inside a club. I have had prior pole experience, which I keep saying we'll get into it, but yeah. I was really scared. I remember I was already halfway through the second song and I had forgotten to take anything off. I was so focused on not messing up my moves on the pole that I had left all my clothes on, and then last minute I was like, shit, and I started like pulling clothes off, because during the audition you do have to get undressed to show that your body, like, to see if they want to hire you for their club. Yeah, so I still currently work at that club, and I auditioned at another third club, which I also work at, which this club is more of like a themed club. It's notorious in our town for being like a rock and roll club. They don't play top 40s music. This audition was a little bit more intense because it's such a well-known and popular club here in the city. I had to send in on their website headshots and full body shots, and that same day I got an email from the owner of the club who invited me for an audition. I keep wanting to call it an interview. It's not an interview, it's an audition. So I went into the club later that week for my audition, and I was auditioning with the bartender. It was a female bartender, and she's super passive aggressive, and now that I work there I like avoid her, but I'm glad that she ended up hiring me. So yeah. They put me up for one song. The pole was a static pole, so it doesn't spin, which pole dancers usually have a preference, and my preference is spinning pole. I'm much more comfortable. I can do much more on a spinning pole, so getting up there and realizing that it doesn't move, grabbing it and pulling on it and it's just stuck where it is, shook me kinda, and I had to like change the way I was dancing. I ended up getting hired, and I still work at that club too. But yeah, so that was my experience with my 3 different clubs, with a few tips throughout. I have a couple other tips here that I like wish that I knew. For a shift here in Portland, they typically are 5 to 8 hours depending on where you're working. Pack more than one outfit. You think in 5 hours I can just wear this one outfit, but no, you sweat so much. If you're working, if you're hustling and working, you will be so sweaty that it will be uncomfortable for you to put something that's sweaty damp back on, and you'll want like a new outfit to change in a third through your shift or halfway through your shift. I usually love to change. It's much more comfortable. I feel fresh again. And then heels. Somebody on Reddit asked if they had to wear heels, and that depends. So at club number 1, the Las Vegas style club, they require you to wear heels at all times while working. And if you go outside to smoke, you have to take them off because stage shoes are different than street shoes. My second club requires you to be wearing shoes, just like shoes. At that club, I dance in platform Vans. Girls there dance in Converse. but we alternate heels as well, just because that's like stripper atmosphere. And then my third club, it's also optional. But I guess like bigger, fancier clubs will require the heels and some won't. For the audition in particular though, I would bring pleaser heels. Some girls I've seen just wear regular old heels, like Just Fab heels, fucking from the mall heels, but pleasers are like work shoes. They're made to be danced in and to last and to be safe. The bottoms of them are non-slip, whereas if you're just in a like generic high heel, you could eat it on stage. The heels are reinforced with like metal rebar inside of them so that they don't snap, whereas if you're just in like a cheap heel and you slam down on stage, your heel could go out and that could break your ankle. So I would recommend having a pair of pleasers. I personally dance in thigh-high pleasers and I wear knee pads underneath. I dance so often and so hard that I need the knee pads for longevity, and I don't think they're cute personally, so I wear them under the thigh-highs when I'm wearing heels and not Vans. Pack perfume and not the good stuff. Yeah, don't waste your good perfume on the strip club. I wear Walmart perfume, and I've had multiple men beg me to tell them what I'm wearing. Oh my god, what are you wearing? I have to buy it for my mom. You smell so good. Like, Sweet Pea by Walmart? Okay, and then pole experience. Someone on Reddit also asked me if they have to have pole experience to start dancing in the club. You will get mixed answers on this, but if you want to start dancing in Portland, my answer is yes, you need pole experience. There's no reason to not have pole experience in this particular city. There are a plethora of pole studios here with classes. If you can't afford classes, there's open pole, which you just like rent a pole for an hour. It's like $10 to $20 at different studios. And YouTube. Watch some YouTube pole videos and figure it out. Like, if you do not know how to work the pole in Portland, you probably won't be hired unless it's like, I can't even think of like an unless you're such a babe, but like there are so many babes already with pole experience here. It's too competitive. You need the pole experience to be successful here. In smaller cities, more rural towns, I would say you don't need it. To be a successful stripper, it isn't necessarily even about pole. But because Portland is like a notoriously known city, you should know pole here. You'll be chewed up and spit out when you're behind a girl who's doing backflips. It will just be so obvious that you don't know pole when you're sandwiched in between very experienced pole dancers. Whereas in a smaller city, it might not matter. Another question that I get a lot is, can you be a curvier girl? Yes, I've seen lots of curvy girls dancing, being successful, making money, but that also goes along with finding a club that fits you. The first club that I auditioned at wouldn't hire a bigger girl. I did not see bigger girls while I was there, and I know that they don't hire bigger girls. Whereas the second two, there are very delicious curvy women that work in those two clubs. So it's just finding a place that fits you, you know. I'm pretty privileged because I have a really generic look, and I feel like I can fit into like a lot of niches. And then, yeah, scheduling. So the last thing that people have asked me is how scheduling works. So different clubs have different requirements, but here in Portland, because it's so competitive, clubs will probably require you to have a 3-day schedule. So because I'm in between 2 clubs and they require 3 days, I work 6 days a week. I could work less, but like I like to work. I like to dance. I like to make money. Most of the places don't schedule in advance, but once you put in your dues, you can request certain times off. And the perks of being a stripper is that you're an independent contractor. You don't technically have a boss, so when you're sick, you can call out. When you don't want to be there, you can go home. You basically run everything for yourself. The downsides is when you need an outfit, you have to buy it. When you run out of pole grip, which is the most annoying expense because I go through so much of it, that's out of your pocket because you run your own business. But with that comes a lot of freedom. Should you call out at the club all of the time? No. Should you try really hard to stay in the club's good graces because that's where you make your money? Yes. But again, like, you work for yourself, you're your own boss, and it's the most freedom, it's the best freedom. So yeah, I'm Hazel. Thanks for tuning in to my first YouTube video. Be sure to let me know if you have any more stripper questions or would like any more stripper content, specifically based in Portland.